I mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies. And sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
If this episode was sponsored for whatever reason, it would definitely be Tostitos Scoops from Frito-Lay. Are we sponsored? No, we're too small of a podcast here to be sponsored by anyone. But if we were sponsored in an alternate reality, it would be Tostitos Scoops or any Tostitos, anything from Frito-Lay, or even Fritos from Frito-Lay. That is a great company overall. Frito-Lay, they're doing great things over there. Halloween just passed. I made some nice dip, and with the dip, I did some Tostitos Scoops. It's a great dish. It's a great chip. It's overall incredible. I made a little bit of that, dip with the tomatoes and the beef and the cheese in there. Great stuff. And then on top of that, Tostitos Scoops. That really brought everything together. So if it was sponsored, it would be those Tostitos Scoops, but it's not sponsored. We're talking about movies today, what I watched in October. And I watched films, and I'm going to talk about those films. It's very riveting of an episode today. And obviously, if you've been listening to this little series I've been doing, I'm going for 365 movies in one single year. Will that happen? I'm not too sure. We're making decent pace still, but I only watched 22 movies in October. There's 31 days in the month, so I'm very behind on really the entire year. I'm behind about like 20 films at this point, so we're going to have to just try hard in any month of this month to really get going. We have November and December to really just kind of lock in here. So hopefully I can make it happen, but it may not happen at this point. I'm losing a little bit of hope. But with all the yapping out of the way, will I hit this goal? Maybe not. Am I going to cry? Maybe later. But right now what we have to do is talk about everything I watched in October. It was a pretty solid month. A lot of great films and a lot of films that weren't great. But today I'll talk about what was good about them, what was bad about them. Should you watch it or should you skip it? It's all going to be right here. Once again, if you want to follow along and have a little bit of like a hard copy, my letterbox is down below. It's going to have all the films for the entire year. But just for October here, starting on October the 2nd, I watched Frankenstein from 1931. This is a great movie. Great. It's really horror 101, an OG horror film that really influenced a lot of things out there. So yeah, it's a great one. Classic. I love all of it, everything about it. The black and white is so beautiful and so rich. Shot on film, which is incredible. And really everything about this old kind of 30s era of filmmaking is so incredible, so influential. I love it all. Frankenstein, I gave a 4 out of 5. And should you watch it? Absolutely yes. Even if you're not the biggest horror fan, if you love movies, then definitely watch Frankenstein. It's a banger of a film. Also, it's very entertaining. Yes, it is an older movie. I've watched a lot of older films. It's definitely one of the more entertaining ones out there. Then the day after that, on October 3rd, I watched Joker, Folie à Deux in theaters, and I gave this film a 3 out of 5 stars. There's a full review out there that I did already for this movie, and my opinions for the film still hold up. My opinions haven't aged that much at all. The movie is still, I think, very bold, which is very good. I respect that Todd Phillips is this bold with this movie, yet still, I'm not a fan of it. The direction that it goes in, I'm not the big supporter of, but still, if you love Joker, Folie à Deux, I understand. I think that it is brilliant for how, like I said, bold it goes. But in my opinion, it's not what it should be for a Joker sequel. But still, going against the grain, really betraying the audience, betraying your most loyal fans, is to an extent very brilliant. So I have to give this movie some props, but still, it's a 3 out of 5. Really like a bottom tier movie this year so far. And definitely what I'm very disappointed by, but still I have very due respect. And then on October the 4th, I watched Dee Dee. This film came out earlier this year, back in January, February, over at Sundance. Did get a chance to go see it, but I heard a lot of good things about it. Then finally, it released back in June or July, kind of. And then finally, streaming this month or last month. So yeah, this movie's really good. I love Dee Dee, a great coming-of-age film. If you've seen the mid-90s from A24, Jonah Hill directed that film, very good as well. It's kind of like mid-90s, but I guess a little bit better, to me, in my opinion. Great movies, both of them, but still, mid-90s is a great coming-of-age film. I feel very related to this movie in a way. A piece of myself is really trapped inside this movie, and it's very good. A great film overall, 4 out of 5, definitely a top 10 for the year so far, and I love it a lot. And then October 6th, I stayed on the whole Frankenstein trend here with Bride of Frankenstein, 1935, and really potentially one of the best sequels ever made. I didn't mention it with the first movie, but both these films are very much so movies about life, and I guess creation and being a human. And that's the thing that I really do love about horror films. I talked about it with It Chapter 1 we did last week, but still, with these kind of horror movies, yes, Frankenstein can be scary to an extent, but the movie isn't going out there trying to scare me or give me a lot of jump scares. The movie's goal is to tell a great story, which is really all I can ask for. It has great score, great acting, great directing, great cinematography. All around the movie is striving to be great, which it does very well instead of going for just some cheap jump scares. Yes, the movie does have some cool little scares and spooks in there, but the movie, both these films, the first and second one, are films about Frankenstein being human or trying to become human and being hated on for really no reason. Yes, he does kill some people, but Frankenstein really is hated on for no reason at all. So Bride of Frankenstein, 1935, give it a 4 out of 5, and yes, you should watch both these movies. It is definitely Horror 101, and really, it isn't exactly a horror movie, more of just a great drama film, which is very good as well. And then October 9th, I watched The Purge. The Purge, I watched during the hurricane, which was definitely a fun one, but The Purge isn't that good. It's a very cool concept, but in reality, the movie isn't that good at all. I don't like it really that much at all. I do love Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is great, but the movie itself has a great concept, but isn't that great, so I don't like it. And then, like I said, I was watching movies during the Hurricane Milton, so I watched Old from M. Night Shyamalan. This movie is crazy. Definitely not a good crazy, definitely a bad kind of crazy. And Old, M. Night Shyamalan, 1 is already reaching up to my Mount Rushmore, and 2, Old is a very crazy film. It definitely has a very cool plot, but really, the movie is just so wild that it's actually not that good. I'm not really on board for it. But still, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. M. Night Shyamalan has this certain kind of magic to him, which makes all of his films very entertaining. Even though this one wasn't that good, all of his movies, I have to say, are very entertaining. And then, once again, Hurricane Milton watches. I watched The Holdovers from 2023. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Holdovers. This movie feels like a very warm hug from my childhood, and I love The Holdovers. The Holdovers is a 9 out of 10. If I watch it again, so help me, I'll give it 10 out of 10, no question. And then that same day, October the 10th, I watched Jennifer's Body. Definitely for the plot. I didn't watch it at all for Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried. It was 100% for the plot, and I love the movie so much outside of Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried, who are both very beautiful. But all jokes aside, Jennifer's Body, it's a cult classic. It's a classic in general, and definitely a certified hood classic banger that everyone should experience at least once. And then the next day, I'm trying to stay on this whole Halloween spooky path here, so I watched Trick or Treat from 2007. Didn't know anything about Trick or Treat, and that really was a mistake, I guess. Trick or Treat is not a bad movie, but a very confusing film for me. I didn't know what was going on. It is kind of cool the way it's like this kind of anthology thing around Halloween, but the movie is crazy. Once again, just like with Old from M. Night Shyamalan, the movie isn't a good kind of crazy, not like, oh my gosh, Endgame is so crazy. Trick or Treat is a crazy, as in this is psychotic, you belong in a mental asylum kind of crazy. So yeah, it is cool, it is fun, but I can't really support it because it really is, like I said, just freaking crazy. And then October the 16th, I had to skip a few days, probably was busy on something, and I watched Over the Hedge again. I love Over the Hedge, as you know, and if you've heard like any of these episodes here, I watch Over the Hedge at least like once every other month, and no surprise here, it's here in October for some reason, and I gave it 4 out of 5 like I always do, and I love Over the Hedge, that's all I gotta say. Alright, and then after Over the Hedge, back to real films here, I did watch The Happening from M. Night Shyamalan. As you know, as you can probably guess here, I love M. Night Shyamalan. I've definitely been tapping into a lot of his work throughout this entire year, and The Happening is definitely crazy, but this time, not a bad crazy, an actual crazy that is really good, but the movie is crazy in the sense that it doesn't take advantage of just how crazy the plot is, and the way they do it isn't that cool. It is creative, but it's not that fun. It's not that well threshed out, and really the acting as well isn't that good either. I love Mark Wahlberg. I love Zooey Deschanel. These are great actors. They know that. They've proven that they're great actors to everyone here, but still, both of them, Mark Wahlberg and also Zooey Deschanel, are for some reason just like the worst acting in a film ever. I don't know why. It's definitely the directing. I'm sorry, M. Night Shyamalan, you're definitely the GOAT, but really, there was some kind of disconnect between the script, the director, and the actors that really made the film suffer a lot. But still, it's an M. Night Shyamalan film, which makes it a very good film, and I'll definitely always love it. And then after that, I watched The Proposal. The Proposal, Ryan Reynolds, is a great movie. That's all you gotta know. It's a banger. Certified hood banger classic. Then after The Proposal, staying on this whole romance trend here, I watched We Live in Time, which released this year from A24. This movie is good. I never reviewed it for some reason, but We Live in a Time is definitely very good. It's not like past lives level good romance movie, but it's still a solid flick and I definitely recommend it. It did make me cry, but the movie itself I don't think is that good. It is, I guess, kind of cliche. The biggest thing carrying the movie is definitely the actors, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. Nothing, I guess, Oscar worthy here. They're both just really great actors in a great film. The script is, I guess, very cliche. Nothing out of this world, nothing crazy, but still, like I said, the film's solid. It's not bad. It's just kind of an average romance film, which isn't bad at all either. And then after We Live in Time, that same day, I watched It, Chapter 1 from the great Andy Muschietti. We already did a full review for this movie, so, that's from last week, but if you didn't hear it, don't want to listen to it, the movie is great. I love It Chapter 1 2017. It's definitely one of my personal favorites of all time for, I guess, horror sense. Definitely not like all-time high list, but still, it's within like the top 20 for horrors all time for me, for sure. The movie's great, but what's even better is the drama, and I love that so much about it. And then after It Chapter 1, I went into another horror film. This one was very incredible, A Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time ever. Never seen it before, but this movie is so incredibly good. I don't think I've ever really seen a horror film until I've watched this movie. It's great. It's awesome. I love it. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, the whole film, the plot, everything is so iconic. It's so cool. I love it all. A little bit of a side note and lore for me growing up. My parents were very religious, so we didn't really celebrate Halloween. We didn't really watch a lot of horror films in the house. So A Nightmare on Elm Street and also Halloween, all these incredible classic horror films like Scream as well, I've never seen before. Never gone into them. A lot of the big horror films I haven't tapped into because I just wasn't really allowed to. And then growing up to now where I'm an adult and I can watch horror films, I just don't really care about them. I don't really feel for them, but now I'm actually kind of forcing myself to watch all of them. A Nightmare on Elm Street may be the best so far. I love this movie incredibly much. Then that next day, I watched Zombieland 2009 for the first time. Zombieland was very big as well, but I've never seen it before because my parents are Christian, therefore I'm Christian, so I can't really tap into a lot of these scary, spooky themes. But still, Zombieland is very cool. It's not the best thing in the world, but still very iconic, and I love it. And then after Zombieland, trying to stay on this whole Halloween vibe thing, the month was very dry here, but I tapped into the Fear Street trilogy. This is definitely, I guess, the most respect that I have for any films at the entire month. We watched a lot of great movies this month, but still, Fear Street, the whole trilogy here, 1994, 1978, and then 1666. This whole trilogy, the way it all converges into each other is very cool. But the fact that the director can make all three of these films at once, release them in the same year, I gotta have a lot of respect for her. Are these films some of the best things ever since sliced bread? No, but still, I have to recognize game when I see it. This movie has a lot of sauce. It's incredible. I love all of them. 1994 is a very cool little horror flick. And then 1978, seeing the sequel. I love the soundtrack. I love Sadie Sink as well. Then 1666, if you love The Witch and Midsommar and all those kind of A24 horror films, then that's definitely the film for you they're going to love the most. And then also seeing the way the entire trilogy converges into one single incredibly cool endpoint climax is very fun, and I love all these movies. Are they just incredible, awesome? Yes. Are they objectively like a top 10 horror movie? No, but they're still very cool and very fun, and I recommend them incredibly well. And then also during this time, I watched Scooby-Doo 2002, the first film here. This movie's a gas. It's actually just incredible. It's all I need to say. I was thinking to myself, why is Scooby-Doo so good? Why is Scooby-Doo so incredibly good the entire movie? Because this film really is, I guess, just kind of peak everything. Peak horror, peak movies in general. Movies are made for us to watch films like Scooby-Doo 2002 in every single way. And then that next day, I watched a little quick film here called Scooby-Doo and Batman, The Brave and the Bold. This is a great movie as well. Not as good as Scooby-Doo 2002, but still, Batman, Brave and the Bold meets Scooby-Doo, Goat meets Goat. I can't really complain about it. It's really fun. And then for my Halloween watch, October 31st, I rewatched The Batman from 2022 because it was Thursday, October 31st. And I was just incredibly infatuated and hyped to watch the movie. And it was good. As always, as you know, The Batman 2022 is a great film to really no one's surprise. But I guess the more important thing to ask here is The Batman 2022 exactly a Halloween movie? After rewatching it, it really is not a Halloween film at all. I get it, the hype around it is Thursday, October 31st, but still, the movie majority of the time takes place after that. It takes place majority in November, beginning of November, like right now. around election time as well, which is right now also. So that's like kind of a little bit of a curveball there. The movie's still great, like I said, but really only like what 20, 30, 40 minutes take place in October 31st, if even that. Actually, no. It's only the opening of the movie takes place October 31st that night, and then going into the rest of the movie is November 1st through like the 6th or 7th. So yeah, no, not a Halloween film, but is it good? Yes, 9 out of 10, might be 10 out of 10 if I watch it again. I love this one. And with the Batman 2022, that wraps it for October. Like I said, a short month, only 22 films. I'm very sad. I might cry, but you know, whatever. We're going to keep going on. November, very big month. Arcane Season 2, Gladiator 2. That's all I need to say. Those two things coming out the same month. It feels like Christmas already or my birthday meshed together, but almost better. I can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. This week, we're going into Arcane Season 1. I finally watched it in October. I didn't get to mention that, but Arcane is really good, if you didn't know already. I don't know why you haven't seen it yet, but Arcane's incredible. I'm going to go in Season 1 this week, and then as these new episodes come out, they're going to be set in 3 acts here. So we're going to be going into an episode here in the podcast. So the Monday after the Saturday it releases, we should have an Arcane Season 2 episode out for you to listen to. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait for it. Arcane's going to be a gas and incredible, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. And then also this month, we're going to try to go into Where the Wild Things Are. That's a great one we need to go into. I already have the script written out for that one. And then also Over the Garden Wall. I haven't started yet, but I heard that one's also really good. So it'd be cool to watch that one. Maybe a Thanksgiving special. We'll see about that. But you know, I can't wait for it. It's going to be really fun. I've heard Over the Garden Wall is very good. So I'm excited to watch it. Should be pretty fun. But as for Over the Garden Wall, Arcane, those are definitely confirmed episodes. I might do Meet the Robinsons this month as well. Meet the Robinsons would be very good. Or Over the Hedge will be very fun as well. I'll see. Sometimes I'm like kind of like over a whim. I'll do a random episode. I may do like First Man from Damien Chazelle. Who knows? We'll see. Whatever I'm in the mood for is what I'm going to go into. So yeah, that'll be a whole lot of fun. But until then, we have some great films coming out this month as well, like Anora, Gladiator 2. Can't wait for it. A stacked month, a stacked year already, honestly. But Anora's this weekend. Also, we have Arcane Season 2 this weekend. So it's going to be a lot going on. So I'm very excited. We're going to have to go into it. But until next time, stay here, stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more films. And as always, I'm Real Slogan. I'll see you boys in the movies.